All the prices on screen, these are Traxxas current prices as of this video, so they are subject to change, keep that in mind. But this is just some basic information, then my opinions on these vehicles. Now, these are all Nitro vehicles, and Nitro is really fun. Now, I do have some runtime videos on the Revo, the T-Maxx 3.3, and the Slayer Pro. They're all fun little vehicles. If you do wide open throttle, you will get over 5 minutes on each one for a tank. Now, if you do not go full, wide open throttle, you can easily get 10, maybe even 15 minutes of runtime on some of these. But my test was mostly wide open throttle. So do watch those videos. I did that in a baseball diamond. Now keep in mind, Nitro, really side note, if you run on baseball diamond, it's really fun and cool because it just rooster tails a bunch of dirt. But that fine silica dirt can destroy your vehicle really fast. It can actually destroy your bearings regardless of the vehicle quite fast because it will get into the bearings. It can also get into the engine, so you have to swap the air cleaner out every run. That's probably one of the things I have the most, air cleaners. But let's go into these. So if you're considering a Nitro vehicle, the first thing is going to be price point. So if you're considering a vehicle that is, say, under $500, well, right off the bat, these two are out of the picture. If you're considering a vehicle under $400, well, your only two options are going to be this. If you're considering a vehicle up to, say, 530, just to include them all, well, then we have them all. So I'm going to first approach this from vehicles under $400. Vehicles under $400, we have the Nitro Rustler and we have the Nitro Slash. Now, the Nitro Rustler is just a basic layout. You have an engine here. This is a 2.5, so Traxxas 2.5 engine. It's a smaller engine, but it's good enough for the size of this vehicle. This is a very light vehicle, so it's going to do just fine. This will do donuts quite easily. Just be careful with donuts because you can break either this end or that end on the shaft. So you may have to upgrade these or just don't do donuts. Those are some of the things to consider, but it's a good vehicle. This comes with a TQI transmitter. Actually, they all come with a TQI transmitter now. So it just really depends. Now, can you upgrade this for a 3.3? Sure, you can get different engines for this. Maybe instead of a 3.3, which is a 0.20 in cubic inches, you could get a 0.21, which would be massive power. But then it's going to wheelie all the time. It may not be as fun. I mean, it's fun for a while, but good luck controlling it. Now, these are some of the features. So we look at the spur. This spur is actually a little more rigid, more stable. This is a 70, so it's a little smaller diameter versus the Slash. I believe the Slash is either 72 or 76. Transmission, same basic transmission. Differential, same differential. There's no difference between the two. Turnbuckles, Traxxas is going with these thinner ones. It does allow for a little more plastic material, but these are a thinner material. I'm not sure I really like them. One of the things I strongly dislike about this vehicle, and that was the problem with my Nitro Slash, which I never did a timed run video. I should do one, is the screws. These are all Phillips screws instead of hex screws. But, oh well, not a big deal. Arms, same arms. I mean, these are the same arms that come in a regular Rustler, or you could even put Slash arms on there if you wanted to. So if you already have an electric, for example, it's going to be very similar. You just need to look at engine tuning. And if you're looking into Nitro Basics 101, let's just say, you can watch my videos about Nitro Basics. Now, it does come with this wand. I actually do like the Easy Start system. A lot of people will bash the Easy Start system saying, oh, it's not very good, etc. Just do a pull start. I don't know why people feel that way. One of the things that I've noticed is some people will say, well, it gets stuck and then it will not turn or crank the engine. All right, most of the time when that happens, the engine is hydrolocked. That's the issue. So if you watch my 101 video on engine hydrolocking, I cover that. So I've never really had an issue. Yes, the easy start motor will go out. I've had them go out, but one of them was very, very old and the other one got incredibly wet, which I'm still trying to figure out why it went out. But still, it's a very convenient system. This charger, oh my god, it takes forever. This is the only annoying part. So just use another charger for this. But it does come with a fuel bottle and 20%. These engines run great on 20%. But we can move on to the Slash. So the Slash, if you're familiar with the electric Slash, the setup is the same basic setup except for the chassis on this one. It's an aluminum chassis, which is narrow. And this is the best two-wheel drive LCG that Traxxas has on a short course. But look at the features, right? Transmission, same basic transmission. Flywheel, I cannot tell here. I'd have to run on mine. I don't remember if I have a 72 or 76 tooth spur, but they do sort of, they're not perfectly straight, but they're good enough. This is plastic, this is metal, so no big deal. Differential, same as the Rustler. Arms, Traxxas arms. So the Slash two-wheel drive and the Nitro use the same arms, but these are more robust on my Nitro. These actually look different here on the picture than on my Nitro, I'll be honest. I don't know why. Now, I did replace these for the heavy-duty ones. That's a must. This thing will do donuts like you wouldn't believe. You just have to be careful because you can blow one of those out unless you have those heavy-duty ones. It comes with the basic tools. Again, easy start system. It is a godsend. So that system is very good. Turnbuckles, you get the thicker turnbuckles. So the Slash actually has the better turnbuckles. It is a longer chassis because this is a short course. So out of these two, my pick would be the Slash. I would pick the Nitro Slash. This is a lot more fun. It has a 3.3 engine. It's a more powerful engine. It's relatively easy to tune, in my opinion, my experience. 20% Nitro runs great. 30%, you're going to need a little more skill using 30%. I used VP 30% on this engine. Now, here is the thing. Both of these vehicles can go pretty fast. The Slash is too fast for its own good, so you really need to learn throttle control or else you're going to slide the rear wheels. My recommendation, get some Proline Trencher SC tires, the short course tires. Put those on the rear. I just go all four of them. You'll get much better traction. So a challenge with these is the compound. These are too hard. They feel different. They felt different on mine. Maybe they're the same. Maybe they are different compound. Please comment below if you have more information on the compound. I just ditched them. But get some Proline Trencher tires. Those do wonders to stabilize the truck. But this thing is fun. This is one fun truck to drive. Now, let's just say you're looking for something between 400 and 500. Here it really gets tough, and the reason why it gets tough is these vehicles are completely different in what they do. You have two four-wheel drive vehicles and you have a two-wheel drive vehicle. The Jato 3.3, this one's going to be a great vehicle for speed runs. You're going out on speed runs. Now, it's going to wheelie a lot, which sometimes kind of kills the fun. So if the rear tires hook, good luck. Which for me, keep in mind, I don't really like, well, if it's a controlled wheelie, that's fine. But sometimes vehicles can wheelie too much and it's annoying. Sometimes I just want them to just go. This one on a straight line is really fast and fun, and going up dirt hills, really fun because of the four-wheel drive system. Something I would recommend is some thicker oil in the front differential, much thicker oil. The same thing with this one, to be honest. Now, this one wheelies quite a bit. This is a 2.2 engine. This one has a 3.3. This is the classic because it's the shorter wheelbase. It has a 3.2 millimeter chassis, if I'm not mistaken, so it's the thinner one. You do have 2 shocks on each set of suspension arms because there's a top and a bottom. If you like monster trucks, this is the one to go with. If you just want something that's fast, can go over terrain in straight lines, this one is probably the one that you want to go over with. The downside to this one, I'll be honest, Slayer Pro, huge downside is you look at it and it rolls over. It flips over so easily. If you're going straight and it hits a bump, there's an imperfection, it'll sort of bounce and go off. The main chassis with the shocks and everything is the same exact thing as the Revo 3.3, but because of the shorter arms, it flips a lot. It flips over a lot with a smaller tire, smaller wheels. It's constantly rolling. So this is a truck that I found myself constantly running after and just flipping back over. This one, because it's a monster truck, I think is more predictable because at least me, I used to have one of these classics. I didn't expect it to be a speed demon because I expected it to be a monster truck. So this one was a little easier. The only thing I strongly disliked were these chevron tires. They weren't the best tires, and then after a while they begin cracking right there. And then I had to re-glue them. And then eventually there was just a bunch of glue all over my tires, which, to be honest, just get a different set of tires at that point. I really like trenchers by Proline. You can get some Badlands. There's some other brands of tires. I just prefer trenchers. That's something to keep in mind. So out of these 3, I would actually probably go with the T-Maxx or the Slayer Pro. It's a hard one. It would be between these 2. And the reason why is this one's mainly good for speed runs, but once you start getting into grass, dirt, which are generally the areas that I have available to run Nitro, these perform better. Actually, this one performs a lot better. I used to have to run after this one a lot less than I did after this. This one, if there's just a hole from a mole or something, this one would just flip over, so I'd have to go fetch it. That's something to consider. Now, if you're looking at over $500, then we have the Revo and we have the T-Maxx. Revo is sort of the latest and greatest technology. It's, like I said, these 2 are the same. This one has reverse out of the box. This one does not. So that's a big thing. Now, you might be saying, well, reverse, I don't need reverse. That's fine. Just go fetch the truck and pull it. It's just convenient. Sometimes you hit something, oh, okay, reverse, back out. Now, there is something massive that I dislike about this, and it's actually the suspension. So these rods are exposed from the suspension, and because they're exposed, man, if there's something I've broken from this truck, it's these. I'm constantly breaking these. Now, you could say, don't crash, and I could say, well, that's, I guess don't drive the truck. That would be easier. But it's going to happen because you're running, you're taking some jumps, maybe you'll roll. But something to keep in mind about this one is the following. So these are the issues that I've had so far with this. And the issues, so breaking these rod ends. Now on the Slayer Pro, not as common because of the massive bumper in the front. Now I know I'm comparing this to the T-Maxx, but this massive bumper, believe it or not, does help. Plus, these are shorter arms, so in proportion to the length, they are thicker. I mean, they're the same thickness, but in relation to the length, because these are much longer. So breaking these. Now, the issue that both of these have is if you look at the engine, look at the tune pipe. The tune pipe is right over the rod ends of the shocks. I don't know if that's what it is, but these things will go out. You will pull them out. Usually when you tumble and roll and then the wheel sort of compresses and decompresses really fast, on the decompression, sometimes you'll rip those out. So those are 2 of the downsides from this one. Mainly this one, you're probably not going to have that issue with the Slayer Pro because the suspension is much lighter. That's something to keep in mind. But going back to the T-Maxx, which is really the comparison, right? $500 or more. The T-Maxx just looks more like a monster truck. I have both of these. I love running them both. It's a different style. This one is my favorite out of the two. It does not have reverse. I haven't put reverse yet in because, well, I just haven't felt like it as of now, but at some point I will add reverse. The transmitter comes with the button, so it's ready to install. It's about a $50 part option. This is my favorite truck. This is the one I would go with. Why? It just looks and drives like a monster truck. I want a monster truck. This one is more, say, race oriented. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, the suspension is fabulous because as it compresses, it actually increases the tension. Yeah, that's called a spring. That's what springs do. T-Maxx does the same thing, but the suspension is different. What this suspension does over the T-Maxx is this is very, very soft in the beginning and then hardens a little. So it allows the truck to sort of lean and allows the suspension to absorb just the force from the chassis just pitching one way or the other, as opposed to the T-Maxx. But one of the things it'll do that you'll notice is that nose will want to just dive forward. When you accelerate, it squats like you wouldn't believe. So I have the purple springs in the rear, which are the heaviest springs you can get to this, because the amount of squatting was just, it was just nuts. And then that rear skid plate would just hit everything. Oh, here you go. There's a perfect example. So this one is just made to look fast. So this is part of the design. So the front end will just go all the way up, and then the rear will just squat down under acceleration. And it's something that I actually find annoying. T-Maxx suspension is pretty straightforward to tune. It's a lot easier to tune because of the way it is. You're not going to break shocks as easily. Yes, the arms can break. I mean, that can happen. The only thing is, if you break one arm and you still have the other, you can still drive the vehicle. If you break, well, I mean, that's really it. If you break one arm but not the other, you can still sort of drive the vehicle and just drive out of it. Versus, and I would consider that a major breakage. Versus this one, if you damage that link, that's it. Suspension's gone. You can't drive the vehicle. And it's annoying. I don't even know how many of those I've broken. So which one would I pick? I would actually pick the T-Maxx, the 3.3. Now, if you're looking for classic versus T-Maxx 3.3, let's just say your budget is now between $400 and $450. None of these are $450. Sorry, $550. I would definitely go with a 3.3. It's a much better engine. This one has a longer wheelbase. I prefer that longer wheelbase. The chassis is a 4mm versus a 3.2. This is just a better option, a better truck versus the classic. Also, the transmitter comes ready for reverse. It's Bluetooth enabled. It has the telemetry, which is great. The telemetry is actually something very useful. So if you don't have telemetry, get telemetry, which is one of the things. If I were to choose, okay, so now I'm going to compare random vehicles. These two, my choice is T-Maxx. Slayer Pro, Revo 3.3. I would pick the Revo 3.3. Again, suspension, everything's the same, but this one's going to have the telemetry. If you do the price difference, Bluetooth-enabled telemetry, this one's going to be a better deal. You can always get this one and then get the Revo 3.3 arms, links, monster truck wheels, and tires. The only thing is this is a 14mm hex, or at least mine it was, so is this thing. This is a 17mm, so you can get the Proline short course 17mm, I think they're the SE8 wheels, and just slap them on. You have short course wheels and just get a short course body. So out of these two, I would get this one. This one's far more stable than this one. It doesn't roll and flip over as much as this one, probably because of the longer arms and the longer wheels and tires. This style suspension really favors the longer arms versus these. Now, between these two, if you want short course, which one would I get? Actually, I like the Slash. This is really cool. The tuning, everything's just like the electric, so this is not too big of a jump when it comes to tuning. This one I find to be more stable. The wheelbase is a little shorter on the two-wheel drive, and this is also narrower. This is about 11.6 inches. Maybe this one's just over 12 inches, so this one's wider, so the bodies are not interchangeable. I mean, you can put this body on that one, but not this body on this one. It'll rub. But this two-wheel drive is just fun. It's a fun vehicle you can do wheelies with. This one just has too many differentials and too many things that can go wrong if you just mess around, such as doing wheelies. You're going to destroy something a lot more. But it's still a very good vehicle. But I would actually go with this one. It's $100 less, and that $100 you can put into nice GTR shocks. If you followed some of my other videos, I actually took the front end off a Bandit and I made a muscle car out of this thing. So this one you can just do a lot more things. So this two-wheel drive Nitro Slash is really, truly the Nitro version of the two-wheel drive Nitro Slash, in that you can turn it into a monster slash, you can turn it into a muscle car, as I mentioned. This is just a fun vehicle to tinker with, and it's simple, basic. Doing a teardown, doing a cleaning is so easy on this vehicle. It's also easy on both of these, but this one, just because of the space layout, I actually like this one. Now, between these two, there's no comparing these. This is really just going to come to price. This is really what a Rustler grew up to be. This is sort of the mature, grown-up Rustler. Very, very fast. You could do that with this one. Now, one of the things I prefer about the Rustler over the Jato is the suspension. The shocks on these, the shock tower, they're very close up top and very close down here at the bottom. This one, they lay down a little more and they're farther out, and these arms are easy to find anywhere because they're just your standard arms. They fit the Slash, they fit the Rustler, versus these arms are different. So parts availability are going to be easier for these, especially since you don't have a bumper to protect the arms. You're probably going to snap them. Therefore, I would pick the Nitro Rustler over the Jato for that reason. This one is super fast, so if you're experienced and that's not an issue, you don't care, that's fine, right? You break apart and you can wait a week or two. Go with the Jato. But here between these two, I would actually pick a Rustler. This is an easy way. Out of all of these, for somebody that's just starting, I would go with the Nitro Slash. Just careful on the throttle. This thing is too fast for its own good, and it will spin out. If you're looking for a monster truck, T-Maxx 3.3 would be my top pick, followed by Revo 3.3. If you're looking between Revo and Slayer Pro, Revo 3.3, and then you can just have a one-in-all type of thing. This one already has telemetry and reverse. This one doesn't have reverse. This one has the 17mm hubs. This one has that weird 14. So you can grab this and then just get the Slayer Pro arms and then just go back and forth between kind of sort of monster truck and short course, those. So I hope this video was informative or at least entertaining. Please comment below what would be your options. Why would they be your options out of these vehicles here? And please subscribe if you have not. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.
Oh, my hair! My tongue! My rod!